Welcome to Excursions 2021. Thank you so much for joining us for virtual show week. It's been fantastic. We are on session 9 of 10 now, and I can see lots of familiar faces that have joined us all week. So you're the hardy bunch, and really appreciate you staying with us. I had a quick look at the recording and how many people have viewed these sessions afterwards, and we've had over 606 people view them on top of those that are with us today. So not only are those that you have spoken now famous, but we are pleased that the feedback has shown that these have been useful. So I've got actually Fran Doughton with us today. So Fran is Chief Executive of Tourism South East. You probably know her name and face, as she has been a well-rehearsed organizer of excursions for many years, and shortly, about 3 weeks before lockdown, took up the role as Chief Executive for Tourism South East, which obviously wasn't quite what we expected. But so Fran's with us today, just to say a few words before we start, and then we're going to hand over to the Visit Windsor team and her partners and Julia's partners, and we're really excited to find out everything that's been going on with them. So Fran. Oh, I'm so sorry. And also we're going to be doing a Q&A at the end of the session. Please do use your, you think I'd have it off by now, wouldn't you? Please use the button at the bottom, in the bottom center of your screen. For those that haven't done it before, there's a button and it brings up a column on the right hand side. That's where you're going to put any questions that you've got, and then we will facilitate those at the end of the session. Karen will speak after Fran, just to recap on that and how that's going to run. Please make sure that you're on mute. And as you know, this is being recorded. You will not be recorded unless you speak. Nobody will see your face. If you don't feel comfortable with that, you can press stop video, so you aren't seen. So I'm going to hand over to Fran, then Karen can just give an idea of the facilitation, and then we will go to Julia. Thank you all.
Thanks, Elaine. Yeah, I just wanted to take the opportunity, so I've hijacked the beginning of this just slightly, just to beg a bit of your time to say just a massive thank you. I'm absolutely blown away and overwhelmed by how many of you have joined us during this week. It is so lovely to see. As Elaine said, I took over this role to head up Tourism South East just 3 weeks before a global pandemic. So as you can see, my timing is everything in this. So the fact that we have been able to run something for excursions is, I'm really pleased that we've managed to do that. So we started the week with Luck It's Travel, which was a really positive start, and we have been right around the country really, with updates, with anniversaries and what's new, and obviously we end the week with Julia and her team from Visit Windsor and Visit Reading this afternoon. So as I say, we were really felt strongly that we wanted to continue something for Excursions show in 2021, and my absolute gratitude and thanks goes out to the team who have worked tirelessly to make sure that we could offer something. We've been running the event for 45 years, and starting the year off in January with Excursions and being able to provide this information every year is something that is very close to all of us. So massive thank you for the team. Actually, the work that's gone behind this, I would say, is as much as actually running the a physical event. So there has been a lot that goes on behind this. Again, my absolute gratitude to Karen Roebuck, who supports us all the way behind the scenes. As she has mentioned, she's been part of this show for a long time, 30 years. So again, is committed to making sure that it is there every year for us. Also, my thanks to our partners and supporters, to AGTO, to the New Meridian Group, to Steve Reed's Group Travel World. Again, pleasure to be working with all of them again throughout this. And to you, the group travel organisers, the operators, for just helping us shape this, for answering the surveys, for joining us throughout these, for visiting the website and downloading everything. As I say, it's been, I hope you'll agree, really, really beneficial. On a slightly serious note, just to say, it has been an incredibly hard year for the industry as a whole, and particularly for the groups and trade sector of the industry. So TSE has worked hard and alongside the CTA, the CPT, to really lobby and shout out as much as we can to make sure that the groups market and the groups industry has been recognised. So, and again, to the businesses that sit behind all this, it goes without saying the work that has had to go into actually making sure throughout last year and looking forward that they are ready and able to welcome you all back safely and comfortably. So it's been no mean feat for each and every attraction, accommodation provider, coach operator, to make sure that they are ready to welcome you back. So again, thank you. Please enjoy the rest of the fam trips that you're about to hear all about now and later this afternoon. And I look forward to actually seeing you in person, hopefully when it's safe to do so, within this year and next year. So I'll hand over to Karen. Oh, hang on, Karen, you're on mute again, sorry.
Oh gosh, we should know this better. The chat box is along the bottom. If you want to ask a question throughout you can ask throughout, and then we'll come to you at the end of the session. If you want to ask it yourself, just say that, or you can just, at the end, I'll ask you to unmute and you can do that then. So I'll hand you over to Julia at Visit Windsor and enjoy the rest of the presentations.
Thanks very much, Karen, and thank you to the whole team. I've been exhibiting at Excursions for 30 years plus, so it's great to have the continuity and to start the year as we have done for 3 decades. I can't believe it, but so it's great to be here. So I'm Julia White. I'm the visitor manager for Visit Windsor, and I'm going to be sharing this slot with some of our really fantastic visitor attractions and key partners of the Visit Windsor partnership. So I'm going to share my screen and then hopefully talk you through some of the highlights for this year. So despite everything, there is some good news and some new developments in the pipeline for later this year, when we're unlocked and able to welcome you back. First of all, just to set the scene, remind you of what you've been missing. The place still looks beautiful, and we really want to see you back enjoying everything we have to offer. So we hope that you will rediscover Windsor when the time's right. Just to give you a bit of background, we are part of the Royal Borough of Windsor and Maidenhead, and that's probably what you've known us as for quite some time. We launched the Visit Windsor partnership in 2019 and had planned our official launch last April. Of course, that didn't happen, but we do still plan to do that as soon as we can. But some of our key partners, and some of those are here today: Royal Collection Trust, the Crown Estate, Ascot Racecourse, Maidenhead Heritage Centre, Legoland, Heathrow Airport, the rail operators GWR and SWR, French Brothers, and a whole host of wonderful hotel partners make up the partnership. There are many more as well, but those are some of the key players there. We're located on near the start of the Great West Way, and I think you probably had a presentation from them earlier in the week, and a really important part of that trail. So just looking ahead to later this year, we have certainly not been resting on our laurels while we've been in lockdown. We've actually taken the time to see what we can improve in the destination, and one of the key things that later in the year you'll see when you come to Windsor is some improvements around the town centre, and we're looking at pedestrianising the approach to Windsor Castle and the admission centre located on Castle Hill. So there's an artist's impression for you to show how smart that's going to look. If you've been in recent years, you'll have seen that we have very ugly looking temporary hostile vehicle mitigation barriers around the town. These are now all being replaced with very, very smart looking street furniture. So the whole place is having a bit of a facelift, and we're enhancing the wayfinding scheme as well. So hopefully a really wonderful welcome when you come back to Windsor later in the year. Of course, there will be some disruption while the works take place, but we'll try and minimise that as much as possible. Also later this year, we're going to be replacing our official visitor guide, the printed guide, with an e-magazine called Woo. The intention is to produce 4 editions a year. A little bit difficult at the moment, and a really tough time to be launching a new magazine, but hopefully by the summer we'll have the first edition live, and you just need to sign up on the Visit Windsor website to start receiving that on a quarterly basis. But it is very much going to be tailored for everybody, so there will be latest news and updates for group travel organisers, as well as leisure, independent visitors and local residents. So you'll have seen in the video, we have some beautiful places to stay, and we really do hope that you will consider staying. There is so much to do in the area. It's not just Windsor, we cover the whole of the Royal Borough. And we have some hotels offering some superb rates for this year. So this is just the Castle Hotel, very central on Windsor High Street, overlooking Windsor Castle, and you can see the kind of trade rates that they're offering for this year. So do give that some consideration for your group. Something new again, say opening spring 21, hopefully if we do get the green light for things to reopen, then Legoland will reopen with a new part of the park, and Mythica is being promoted at the moment. It's a huge investment for Legoland, and the first, well, the biggest investment in 25 years. So a lovely way to celebrate their anniversary. The park would normally be due to open for the February half term, so we're just waiting to hear when that might happen. In terms of tourist guides, Amanda Bryant at Windsor Tourist Guides Limited, I'm sure some of you know, has introduced the new Vox tourist guiding system. So this means that groups can be guided around the town but can still socially distance. So they would listen to Amanda through headphones. They can socially distance, and it allows them to wander off and take photos at the same time as listening to her. She's also introducing a new tour, Plagues, Pestilence and Potions, very topical, and I'm sure will be really fascinating, and a really good insight as to what goes on behind the scenes in Windsor, and how social distancing and quarantining is really not new in London and Windsor. So just a few things there. We are looking forward to welcoming you back soon. We really do hope that come Easter, you can all travel again. Those are my contact details. Make a note of them. I'm very happy to hear from you directly, but of course you can come via our website, and it's worth signing up to our social media channels as well. So you'll find us at Visit Windsor and Visit Windsor UK. So we're hot promoting all of the news on our social channels, so keep an eye on those. Right, I am going to hand over to Richard Poad at Maidenhead Heritage Centre.
Right, here we go. I managed to find the unmute button. That's the most important thing of all, isn't it? Good morning, everyone. It's nice to have you with us. I was very pleased in Julia's little bit of video that I saw Maidenhead and Bray and Cookham in there, the western half of the Royal Borough. So I'm Richard Poad. I'm the chairman at Maidenhead Heritage Centre, and the gentleman who keeps disappearing in and out of focus behind me is one of my colleagues, Alan Mellins. And we can't wait to open again. So we're just looking forward to it, but we're not counting any chickens just at the moment. And so I need to do a bit of screen sharing now and see if it works. Just a minute. We're going to check. Should do in just a second. Right. Elaine, give me a thumb up if you can see that. Thank you. Right, brilliant. So Maidenhead's just 7 miles up the River Thames from Windsor, and it's got a fantastic amount to offer. Our history stretches from the Romans to racing cars, and Maidenhead Heritage Centre is the place to start, where you can come face to face with Julius, our surprisingly tall Roman skeleton, discovered near Bray. And once you've counted his teeth and his ribs, you can dress up as a Roman yourself. This lad's dad dressed up in the grown-up version of this, but sadly refused to have his photograph taken, which was a pity. Now, Maidenhead's existence has always depended on transport and communications. It's been said that the bridge is to Maidenhead as the castle is to Windsor. And for centuries, the Thames was the main transport highway. See the barge sailing up the river? Even though our first wooden bridge was built 750 years ago to carry the road from London to Bristol and Bath. Soon stagecoaches were rattling through the town, where the streets were lined with coaching inns, and Maidenhead was so successful that in 1775 the wooden bridge was replaced with this beautiful stone bridge which still carries the Bath Road to this day. Boom times continued until the arrival in 1840 of the Iron Horse, and we have a superb detailed model of an iron horse on display in our main gallery at Maidenhead Heritage Centre. The trains crossed the Thames on one of Brunel's superb brick bridges. These are the widest spans ever built out of brick, full stop. Quite tremendous. And modern engineers among you, you don't need to be ashamed, even though you're older than this lad, can emulate Brunel with Duplo blocks. Brunel's bridge still stands today. And a century ago, it was even used on railway posters like this one. For though the railway ended the coaching era, visitors now came by rail instead of road, purely to enjoy themselves by the river. The rich bought beautiful boats, and Bolter's Lock was quite the most fashionable place on the whole River Thames. But ordinary people came to throng the banks to admire the rich and beautiful people. It's sort of, the paparazzi do that for us now, these days, don't they? And the lock is always busy, all the summer long, the perfect place to pause on one of our riverside walks. Our local motor industry started before the First World War. For the car geeks among you, this is a car called a GWK, and continued between the wars with the Morendaz Tourer, known as the poor man's Bentley. And now we can all show our age, because in the 1950s, Maidenhead helped put Britain back on the Formula One map thanks to the local Vanwall racing cars, whose best known driver was local boy Stirling Moss. So we've had boats, we've had trains, we've had cars. What about aeroplanes? And Heathrow doesn't count. In World War II, our local airfield was home to Air Transport Auxiliary, whose brave civilian pilots, ferried warplanes around the country for the RAF. This is an international story with pilots from 25 different countries, including over 200 from the USA. Not surprisingly, American visitors absolutely love it. And so do ladies groups, because 164 women pilots, inspiring women pilots, flew alongside their male colleagues. Our ATA collection, a tiny proportion of which is on display, is the most important in the world. And the uniform with the red sash belonged to one of those American women. What visitors like best is our Spitfire simulator, suitable for ages 9 to 97. So I think we all get into that range, don't we? The visitor becomes the pilot. The visitor can choose where they want to fly. London, Paris, San Francisco, Sydney, and they always get out smiling, like Anne Diamond, Theresa May, Prince Michael of Kent, a qualified pilot who flew the simulator fantastically well. And to end, we want to show you a quick film clip to show you what it is like to fly this simulator, showing a flight along the Thames in 21st century London. Marks taken off if you whack Tower Bridge. So fasten your seatbelts. Here we go, Tower Bridge coming up. Straight through the middle, there's HMS Belfast, the bottom of the Shard going past on the left. Houses of Parliament now coming up. And round we go, over Big Ben, big tight turn to go back down the river. And here we go with Tower Bridge coming up again, Tower of London on the left, and whoosh, straight through the middle. Full marks there. And isn't that great? It's fantastic. Visitors often say it's the best fun for miles around. So just to finish, we're perfect for smaller groups, or if there are bigger groups, we split them up with something else to do at the same time. Private visits by request. And when we're allowed to open, we'll be ready to welcome you. Thank you very much. And there's the info at the bottom. So I need to end my slideshow.
Thank you very much. That was fantastic. I'd love to do that. My father's actually been on an actual Spitfire,
Wow.
so I know how thrilling it is from his recollection of it. I think Helen is next.
Yes, I am indeed. I'm just going to share my screen. Lovely. I'm hoping you can see that. Great, lovely. So my name's Helen Buckham. I'm the group organiser for the Savile Gardens, and I'm going to talk through our group brochure for this year. So we're really pleased that we won the Group Travel Awards last year for the best garden. So we're very proud of that. As you can see, the garden has royal patronage. The Queen has opened a number of gardens within Savile Garden. Savile Gardens was created in 1932 by Sir Eric Savile, and it's you can be a keen horticulturalist or somebody who just wants to have a lovely relaxing day out in the garden. Go on to the next page. I'm just going to talk through the seasons now. So Savile Gardens has always been renowned as a spring garden, but actually it goes throughout the whole year now. So we have some beautiful azaleas and rhododendrons, as you can see here. In the summer, on the left, you can see our gorgeous Jubilee garden, which was opened by the Queen in 2002. And we also got a very contemporary rose garden, which is lovely to walk around, and it feels as if you're on a boat and looking down and seeing all the roses and the scents just waft up. So that's beautiful in June. And in July and August, we have our wonderful double herbaceous borders, which run well into the early autumn. In the autumn, we're going to put on our sculpture trail again. That's going to run from the 22nd of September to the 2nd of November. And that worked really well last year because it's something you can enjoy. You'll get to visit different areas of the garden. Perhaps you wouldn't normally walk down because you want to see the sculpture. And it worked really well for self-distancing as well. Lovely. There's winter. We've still got a lovely interest in the garden, even in winter. But I expect you'll probably want to come between April and September. That's when our groups tend to come and visit us. There's a lovely picture on the left here. That's our gorgeous shop. I spent a fortune in there. They've got some lovely artisan products. And for groups, we have some wonderful benefits. I'm the group coordinator, so that's me. We have a free familiarisation visit for the group organisers, especially if you haven't been here before, so you can have a look around the gardens, see the setup of our restaurant and shop as well. We have discounted group rates for you to come in, which are being held from last year, so that's £10. There's free ticket for the group organiser. We have free coach car parking, which is right in front of the Savile Visitor Centre, so you don't have to walk far at all. We have a meet and greet, which will be me or a member of the Savile Building team, and we also offer a free coach driver admission to the garden, and they also get a refreshment voucher, which I know is appreciated. Okay, and so we do garden tours as well. I certainly recommend them. They certainly bring the garden to life, and they normally last about an hour, hour and a half. All important food and drink. So you're very welcome to free flow through our restaurant. But if you did want to all sit together, have a good chin wag, and then have some food, we do a main meal of £14.95, and you have a choice of four food options there. And we also do a lovely traditional cream tea. That's at £6.75. We normally serve that later on in the afternoon. I'm just going to talk now about our combined visits. So we have the Savile Garden and Rural Heritage Tour, and this is a very unique trip because the group guide, which can be me, will pop onto your coach and will actually drive through Windsor Great Park. They're private roads, so it's only people that live there or work there that are allowed to drive through. So you'll get to see some beautiful equestrian statues. We have 3. You'll see the beautiful iconic view of the Long Walk and the Deer Park and the polo, Guards Polo fields as well. And you'll get a real understanding of the estate and the history and how it is, how we're doing a modern, how it is to live in a modern estate. So that's £20, and that's for Savile Garden and the tour as well. So it's a lovely whole day out. Our most popular trip was with our partners, French Brothers, and Don will be speaking after me. So it's lovely you come to visit Savile Garden and do a riverboat cruise from Runnymede. We do various options of that, including food. So that's a great, you'll get a chance to walk and then you can relax as well, and depends which way round you want to do that. And then lastly, our other combined visit is with Dorney Court. This is a beautiful Tudor mansion which has stayed in the same family for 13 generations, and we suggest you visit there first and then come to us in the afternoon, have some lunch with us and look around the beautiful gardens. Thank you very much for your time, and we hope to see you very soon. I'll just hand over to Don at French Brothers.
Just trying to find Don. I think he might be trying to get him. Trying to get him off of mute. Bear with me. Oh. Okay. Perhaps. Oh.
I did it.
Yay! Well done.
Okay. So, are you going to share my screen for me? Okay. I can't see my face. Is my face showing, Elaine?
You're okay.
I'm good. Okay. Well. Thank you for attending another Excursions preview. Thank you very much for listening. It's really appreciated. So we're French Brothers, boat trips on the Thames from Windsor. We've been in Windsor now for over 30 years, and we do boat trips from Windsor, from Runnymede, and our area really covers as far as Hampton Court to Henley in a normal year, which obviously we're not experiencing at the moment. So next slide, please. So when I was asked to talk, I thought long and hard about how do you actually start a presentation under these unique circumstances, and I figured, well, obviously the thing that's on everyone's mind is how would French Brothers operate safe river cruises during COVID. So next slide, please. So under COVID, you know, this would have been my 26th year at Excursions, and I never ever thought that we'd be sitting here having virtual meetings rather than the face-to-face meetings that we all look forward to. I'm extremely proud and amazed that the whole industry, the group travel organisers, the attractions, the tour operators and everyone else, the tourist boards, have all risen to the challenge to make a success or the best of what we've got. And really what I decided I would do in this presentation is just highlight what we're doing about COVID and what we're offering in terms of a safe experience, and what we're offering for this next coming year, because it's not going to be normal by any stretch of the imagination, but we all want to get back to normal as soon as possible. Next slide, please. So French Brothers have got an extremely robust COVID policy. We spent a lot of time, and to a certain degree, it's really a little bit over the top. It's really, really, really good. I'm really proud of the team that put our COVID policy together. We've got queuing stations, which mean that you know, you board the boat in one direction and you disembark from another direction. We've got hand sanitizing stations absolutely everywhere. There's 3 on every boat. There's hand sanitizing stations on the promenade and the ticket office and everywhere. And our staff have really risen to the challenge in terms of you know, operating in a safe manner. They're all very, very, very keen to be very safe. There's signage everywhere which just reminds people about their hand washing and hand sanitizing, wearing face coverings if appropriate, and above all, maintaining social distance. Once we've been on a trip, we sanitize that trip. So every seat gets sanitized, every hand surface gets sanitized, everywhere that we've identified as being a touch point gets sanitized, and that's after every single trip before the next group of people board, which is well in excess of what's required of public transport, for example. But that's what we've decided to do, and so far we've been able to offer a really, really, really safe experience. The most significant thing really though is we've reduced the seating on board the boats, so there are less seats, which means that you've got more space. That's really, really, really important, isn't it? So you don't want to feel as if you're on top of other people if you're sat there on board a boat. So there is plenty of space. Next slide, please. So as a group, what we're going to ask you to do, and what we've been asking you to do over the last period of time, is let us know about your individual bubbles within your group. So we then will construct a bespoke seating plan for your group, so that if you've got a group of 2 people together, they'll get a bubble of 2, maybe you've got a group of 3 or 4, and so we can keep you in your bubbles up to a maximum of 6 people, but we're not forcing you to sit with other people just because you've arrived with them on the same coach. So that is something that's worked really, really well. And the other thing, obviously, what we do is we need just to make sure we've got contact tracing information as well. So long as the group organizer has that information, that's fine, but we just need to be able to access it in the event there's a problem, which so far we've had none. Next slide, please. So this is an example of one of our boats and how we've arranged the seating. So there's lots of space between each individual bubbles. This is set up as a default with bubbles of 5, 6 and 4. But obviously, if you take somebody who might be travelling on a coach trip on their own, well, they'll either get a larger bubble to themselves, or we just use a different version of that diagram. So we've got several versions of that diagram, and everything's marked out on the floor, so it's really quick and easy for us to rearrange the seating to comply with the late or the next group that are coming on board. So every single one of our boats has got one of these diagrams created, and most of our boats have at least 3 different seating configurations, so that people can sit in safety on board. Next slide, please. And of course, the boat itself is an outdoor experience. It's undercover, but the sides are open. There's plenty of fresh air, and that is really what the government are pinning their hopes on for the coming spring, is that we're all going to be able to open up all our windows, and that will cause the infection rate to come down. So the boats being an open air experience really is one of the safer things that you can actually do, given the other mitigating factors that we've put in place as well. Next slide, please. One of the things we've come to realize, you know, through our entire business life, is that you've got to be able to adapt and become a little bit more flexible. What we've decided is that groups, being that they are so important to us, and we've worked with lots of groups for a long time, many of which come back year after year. Many of our coach operators and tour operators book multiple trips with us year after year. So we're not wanting to make life any more difficult than it has to be. So in terms of our minimum numbers, well, we want you to book, and we want you to book as a group, which is obviously good for us, but we do realize that your numbers are potentially going to be lower for a number of reasons. Either people are you know, still not quite ready to get out, or you can't fill the coach up in quite the same way that you did. So we've reduced our minimum numbers to 20. Now that's a sort of an unofficial target. If you've got fewer than 20, then we still want to talk to you to be able to work out what we can do to help you bring your group out, because the people who've signed up do want to get out. Everybody wants to get out. They've had enough of being stuck indoors, haven't they? So next slide, please. But if you can't get the numbers, or your numbers drop because at the last minute someone has to self-isolate, which we understand will happen, has happened, we're going to be flexible as well. So there's not going to be any penalisation for that, and we really do want to make sure that you're able to come out and have your day out in Windsor, which will include a boat trip. Next slide, please. If your numbers are low or lower than expected, then we've got contingency for that too. What we've done is we've changed our public trip offering, and our public trips are obviously running to the same safe procedures that our group trips are running to too. But if we can't get the numbers together, what we'll do is we will find a trip that is part of our public trip offering. Because we've increased the number of trips that we're running, we'll have something that will fit your itinerary, no doubt. So don't worry if your numbers are lower than expected. If you can get out to us, we'll find a trip for you. Next slide, please. So what are we offering in 2021? Well, as I said, we've streamlined what we're offering. We're offering a limited number of trips, but we're making them more efficient so that we can build in that flexibility for you, the group organizer and tour operator. Next screen, please. So we are running our public service trips that go between Runnymede and Windsor and Maidenhead and Windsor. Now, they used to run to a different schedule, part of the week, not all of the week. Now we're running these every single day. So if you want to go to Windsor on a boat, you can go from Runnymede to Windsor, or Windsor to Runnymede every single day. Likewise, you can do the trip from Maidenhead. That is an increase in the service of that trip to make it efficient for us and flexible for you. Next slide. Our bread and butter, if you like, are most popular trips are the 40-minute trips from Windsor and the 2-hour trips from Windsor. These are available every single day. The 40-minute trips, for example, run all day long. So you can come at 10 o'clock in the morning and have a boat trip before you go off and explore the town, or you can have it as the last trip, last thing you do before you go. They're very reliable. They you get no hold-ups at all. They're perfect for people on a whistle stop tour of Windsor. The 2-hour trip, that is, if you've got a little bit more time, you can take a 2-hour trip with a choice of 2 sailings. So next slide. Of course, groups love teas. We all know that. We all love teas. So we're continuing to offer our lunch trip and our tea cruise. Now that's available from Windsor and from Runnymede. We're not going to be running that from Maidenhead for this year, just purely and simply on the basis of keeping things efficient. But our trip, lunch and tea cruises are very, very, very popular, and they will be available every day from Windsor or Runnymede. And of course, we will continue to do the combined trip with Savile Garden. That's an amazing experience. It's great value for money. It's got 100% satisfaction rate with our visitors. They absolutely love it, and we'll continue to do that because, again, an outdoor experience on a boat followed by an outdoor experience at a garden is really one of the safest days out that you could possibly plan. Next slide, please. So this is my final slide. It's just really to highlight another benefit. We've decided to hold our prices at the 2020 rates for the 2021 season. So it's just what we wanted to do, really. So that's me done. Thank you very much for listening. I've said questions there, but as you know, we're going to be having the question session at the end. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much. I think Vicky from Ascot is next.
Share my screen. It's not working. Okay, yeah, so I am Vicky Payton from Ascot Racecourse. I've been here for about 15 years and probably have done as many excursions as you guys have. It's really just to give you a bit of background. Horse racing itself in the UK probably generates about £1.2 billion per year, and we actually are, in a normal year, the most attended sport after football in the UK. And if you take it from grassroots up, so training horses out in the field right up to broadcast and actual events, we're probably one of the biggest employers in the UK and employ probably 1 in 7 of the working population. Just to give you a bit of the history of the racecourse, we were actually founded in 1711 by Queen Anne. And as she came out from Windsor Castle, sort of galloping at full stretch, she declared that Ascot Heath would be the perfect place for a racecourse. And to be fair, the rest is history. We now pretty much race 26 days a year across flat and jump, with the most famous Rio for Royal Ascot, which is 5 days in June. And this 5 days would really launch the start of the British summer social season. So it's Wimbledon and then Henry Regatta and the Chelsea Flower Show. And so we would launch that. Overall, we probably have about 630,000 guests each year. As I mentioned, probably, and as you guys will know us for, would be Royal Ascot, which is this year from the 15th to the 19th of June. At the moment, our plans are that it will really go ahead. We're hoping that in some way we will be able to hold the event. We're probably looking at if we do reduce capacities, and we're still working obviously with the government and looking what it exactly looks like, and we'll obviously work to put seating down so that people can sit and enjoy the experience. But in general, we are really hoping that it will take place. It is very much an outdoor sport, so when we're sat down, we are outside. There'll be obviously a limited area within the grandstand that you guys can still go. But I think realistically, it will happen, fingers crossed, in some way, shape or form. In a normal year, I don't know if you guys have been before, but it would generally be the gates would open at 10:30, and then Her Majesty the Queen sorry, would head down the track at 2 o'clock every day. As she comes through the Golden Gates down from Windsor Castle out into the parade ring, she would then start the celebrations. So what we would normally find is that she's actually been in attendance since her coronation in 1953, and has enjoyed pretty much every year of Royal Ascot, apart from last year when we raced behind closed doors, so we had no one in attendance. Next year will be the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, so whatever happens next year, we're hoping that we'll be able to celebrate in style. What would normally happen then after the royal procession is they come down the track, the racing would begin, and this year we're excited to announce that there would normally be 6 races each day, and this year there'd probably realistically be 7 races, which is really exciting. Royal Ascot itself is the best attended race meeting in Europe, and it attracts horses, the best horses from all over the world. What we would normally do would be look at about 80,000 people per day, but obviously in this world that's not realistic, so we're looking to see what we will do to reduce the numbers. We obviously have a dedicated groups team at the moment that are available to answer any questions. We're hoping to have full answers and full details for around the 22nd of March, so we'll wait for the Cheltenham Festival to happen, and then after that we'll be able to sort of look to see what our full offering will be. We're still looking at the moment at the 4 enclosures, so we've got the Royal Enclosure, which was created by King George IV, where he created a invitation only enclosure pretty much to invite his friends down, and you could, if you were divorced, you weren't allowed to go to Royal Ascot at the time, so he created a 2-storey building that his divorced friends could go into. And today it still is an invitation only, so you have to be invited by someone that's already a member. We also then have the Grandstand Admission, Village Enclosure and Windsor Enclosure, which stretch out across the whole of the 179 acres that make up Ascot Racecourse. What the day would then normally do would be to end in singing around the bandstand, or we have music into the evening, so things like the Village Enclosure is open late into the evening, and tickets would normally start from about £37, and that's sort of a dedicated group rate. But again, we are still waiting to find out what happens. If for any reason we are racing behind closed doors, which is what we're doing at the moment, all the capacities are greatly reduced. What we are looking to do is create an at-home experience. So we call it Royal Ascot at Home, where guests can come in and join us online. We have lots of activities, so online race courses. Obviously you can watch it on TV, it'll be broadcast by Sky Sports Racing and ITV across 200 countries across the world. We have a dedicated groups team, and it's anything from group sizes of 10 plus basically have a dedicated package rate. We can offer things that you might be interested in, say historic tours, afternoon tea packages. We have free parking and a dedicated groups brochure, and we can create posters and things if you need them. We do have quite a lot of COVID measures in place, and this is across the whole of the racing industry. So it's very much a case of social distancing is in place, masks must be worn. We're obviously looking to find out how much space we can have across the racecourse, but as it is an outdoor sport, there's a lot of space around, and we'll make sure that groups can have their own dedicated area with seating. And if you want to eat or drink, obviously you need to be sat down. What I will do is just show you a quick video of the event. seems really strange to see a video now with so many people, and I think we're looking at a quarter of the crowds if we did it again this year. But yeah, we look forward to welcoming you when we can. So thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Vicky. I think finally we have Ian. He's going to take from Windsor Castle.
Thank you. Great. Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning. My name's Ian Terry and I'm the Trade Sales Marketing Manager for Royal Collection Trust. If you don't know, Royal Collection Trust manages, conserves and facilitates the opening of all Her Majesty the Queen's official residences, of which of course Windsor is one of those. I'm just going to play you this quick video with a little bit of music. So Windsor Castle is the oldest and largest inhabited castle in the world. It's been the family home of British kings and queens for almost 1,000 years and is still the official residence of Her Majesty the Queen. It occupies over 10.5 hectares, and the castle offers a varied day out for visitors, including visits to the magnificent state apartments and St George's Chapel. And this summer we've actually got a very special exhibition which is going to be taking place. We haven't launched it yet though, so keep your eyes peeled or sign up for the newsletter via our website to be kept up to date on what that's going to be. The castle's state apartments are furnished with some of the finest works of art from the royal collection. It reflects the changing tastes of the castle's royal occupants, particularly Charles II and George IV. Among the masterpieces on display are paintings by Holbein, Rubens and Van Dyck, Sèvres porcelain and exquisite English and French furniture. So it's not just the rooms, but everything within them as well. Many of the works of art are still in their historic settings for which they were first collected and positioned by the kings and queens who have lived at Windsor before them. Visitors to the castle will take a self-guided tour and they get a free multimedia guide when they do so. And from September to March each year, visitors can also walk through the sumptuous semi-state apartments, which used to serve as the private rooms of George IV in the 19th century, but which are now used on a daily basis by Her Majesty the Queen when they're not open to the public. We recently completed the Future Programme at the castle, which was a series of projects to transform the experience of visiting. It was funded by a £37 million investment from the charity, and these projects delivered significant improvements into the way visitors are welcomed on arrival. We created a new learning centre, visitor facilities, and we even opened up new spaces of the castle and renewed displays of work of art from the collection. Work began in 2017 and finally was completed at the end of last year. So we're really looking forward to welcoming visitors back so they can see all those changes. Some of the things include increased public access to the ground floor of the state apartments. We've incorporated the state entrance into the visit for the first time, and we've opened up the 14th century Undercroft, and it's now the castle's first permanent cafe. That's the picture on the top right there. We've reinstated the castle's Georgian entrance hall, which creates a real proper sense of arrival, and it links the current visitor entrance on the north terrace all the way through to the state entrance on the south side, and that's the bottom left picture there. It's a beautiful vaulted room which wasn't open to the public previously. We've also introduced new interpretation and a choice of routes through the state apartments, replacing the usual singular linear route. And we've also built a dedicated learning centre to enable more school children, families and even adults to engage with the palaces and the Royal Collection firsthand. And there's a couple of pictures of the spaces. It's an amazing, amazing space. More recently, as a result of COVID-19 pandemic, we've introduced time tickets. So the castle is now timed by admission, so you do need to pre-book, and that helps us manage the number of visitors allowed inside at any one time. By reducing the capacity, we're making sure that everyone can enjoy their visit whilst maintaining social distance and staying safe. Visitors will be asked to wear a face covering when indoors at any time, and we've got touch-free dispensers and hand washing facilities at several points all around the visitor route. Social distancing is maintained in all of the queuing areas with the use of markings and enforced by our wonderful warden team. We've also fitted perspex screens at all ticket desks, multimedia guide desks, and all all of the shop tills. And some of our staff are wearing gloves and face coverings for the safety of all of our visitors, particularly in the airport-style security areas. And all of our staff were fully trained when they returned to work in the summer on the new COVID secure procedures. And there are enhanced cleaning regimes in place as well. Lastly, we were accredited with the We're Good to Go industry standard charter mark, which means that we're adhering to the respective government and public health guidance. And we've carried out a COVID-19 risk assessment and checked that we have the required processes in place. When visiting an official residence of Her Majesty the Queen, we've always known that people expect the very best in all aspects of their visit, and we're really confident that we are one of the most COVID-safe attractions in the world, as well as a fantastically memorable day for all of the family. Now, obviously, we are closed at the moment, but as an independent charity who receives no private funding, one of our only financial ways to earn money at the moment are through the shops. So the shops are still open online. Do visit them, you can buy things, and we post all over the world. Great, that's our new website if you want to take a look, and very happy to answer questions now.
That's great. Thank you very much, everybody. I think that is all the presentations for Windsor. And we'll move on to the questions. Just before we do, I just wanted to say, if you haven't visited the Maidenhead Heritage Centre, it is really worth a visit. It's one of those hidden gems, and the simulator experience is amazing. I actually did the one that went over Eastleigh Airport, which was one of the Southampton Airport at Eastleigh, which was, I think in those days, called Eastleigh Airport during the Second World War, and it was a real experience. Also to let you know that one of the hotels in Windsor, Oakley Court Hotel, is actually a finalist in the Beautiful South Hotel of the Year Award, and that will be announced in March. So that would be great. And with another hat on, I'm also the project manager for Visit Thames, and it's been great this week. We will have by the end of today 4 destinations along the Thames, showing what a great place to visit the Thames is. So from Greenwich, Richmond upon Thames, Windsor this morning, and Reading this afternoon. And if you haven't actually visited Reading recently, please book onto the one for this afternoon, because you'll hear all about the 900th anniversary of Reading Abbey and the history that I never knew was there until last year. So well worth a visit. So we'll move on to the questions. The first one is for Royal Ascot. My group take advantage of the discounted tickets under the early bird offer for Royal Ascot. I think the closing date has not passed, and the groups department are really helpful. Vicky, could you give us an update to Anne for that one, please?
Yeah, no problem. We are at the moment not currently selling any further tickets. But at the moment we're hoping to honour all the tickets that have actually sold to date. The discount would normally have run, we have one that ends on the 5th of November and the one that ends on the 31st of March. It is something that we're hoping to sort of continue to do, and we should know by the 22nd of March what the plans are for this year. At the moment, it's obviously we're just literally waiting on government guidance. So rather than sort of selling a load of additional tickets that we then have to refund, we're just waiting to find out where we get to, really. So at the moment, yes, I think Danny was the group organiser that you guys probably know, and keep in touch with him, because as soon as he has any more information, he'll update you. It will be online. But yeah, the 22nd of March is the date that we're sort of hoping to continue and launch back into normal sales. Obviously, we won't be at the full capacity that it has been in the past, but yeah, we're looking to hopefully be as near to normal as possible.
That's great, Vicky, thank you. And a question for Dawn from Carol Gower. Carol, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes, thank you. Hi, Dawn. I enjoyed your presentation. Thoroughly took on board the seating arrangements which you plan to set up for groups depending on bubbles, etc. Do you really feel that if you had a group with a great many singles amongst it, that wouldn't be too inconvenient for you? Because obviously it's going to take up a huge amount of deck room. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. That's a great question, and I think if you go back to one of the other points I made about trying to accommodate groups with their smaller numbers, I mean, we're already aware that groups are going to be smaller, and we would expect to see groups possibly even struggling to get 20 people. But if you had groups that in your group, if you had individuals traveling together, then I can't obviously show you the diagram, but if you can picture the diagram that I showed you, which has got a bubble of 6, for example, well, within that bubble of 6, it's possible to have 2 individual. Oh, thank you very much. Elaine's just going to show that. So within that bubble of 6, it's not very difficult for us to split that up into 2 bubbles of 1, for example, because they'll be far enough away, given the mitigation that the government has given us to for that to be safe. It would be slightly different to that, but the reality is that if you've got a group of 20 and they're all individuals, I think we can accommodate you anyway, and it doesn't really make a lot of difference to us if it's 20 individuals or 10 groups of 2. It's an unusual year. We hope it's not going to extend much more into next year. But to answer your question, we want you to come.
I appreciate that, Don. Thank you for your answer. Just supposing, and this is purely hypothetical, but just supposing there was a group, a coach, which came along with 28 or 30, if that were permitted, all single travellers, would that give you cause for concern? You're talking about your minimum of 20, but I'm thinking, how wide can you spread a bigger group of individuals and not be, as I say, it's hypothetical because my group certainly wouldn't be all singles, but it's just trying to see somehow where the maximum of individuals could be accommodated without causing you any monetary disadvantage as much as anything else.
Well, it's very kind of you to think along those lines, but I think when we decide to go to the market and say this is what we're doing, we have to take the rough with the smooth to a certain degree, and to a certain degree, as you know, because you've been with us many times before, we like it when there's big groups, but if on occasion people can't get the numbers together, we do our absolute best to accommodate them. The maximum group size is going to vary depending on the boat that's available, each individual day, what type of trip you're doing, etc. But in theory, and don't forget there's a downstairs as well. And then we discussed this with you, so as your numbers grew or maintained at 40 or whatever it might be, we discussed with you and say, well, we can do that, but 15 people will be sitting downstairs, and downstairs is also windows open, so it's still a ventilated area, so up to about 50 people. I think the largest group we had last year, with all the difficulties, was about 50, and we were able to, but they probably weren't 50 individuals, but as you say, it's hypothetical, and it's really one of those things where we just sort of like have to play it by ear a little bit, if that's okay.
That's a more than adequate answer. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Carol, and thanks, Don. One for Ian Terry on the castle. Is work finished on the booking hall where you check in with groups? And what allowance is made either arriving before or after your allotted arrival time?
Yes, to answer the first question, the admission centre is now finished and we have a dedicated group entrance. So groups are no longer having to queue down St Albans Street. We have a new large queuing area and ramp that snakes around within the castle wall, and then it goes into the admission centre, and we still have our group hall as well. there. Time slot wise, we would like you to obviously arrive as close as possible. The time slots are every half an hour, and you can arrive any time within that half an hour spot. If you're a few minutes early, or if you're a few minutes into the next time slot, the team on the ground will do their very best to admit you as soon as possible. It obviously all depends on how busy we are.
Thank you. There's another bit to that question. Also, is someone from the castle liaising with the cruise ships on what's happening?
Well, we obviously have cruise trade partners. I met with some of them at the beginning of this week. They don't have any answers on when they're going to be cruising again, but I don't believe it's likely to be until the autumn at the earliest. We're certainly not expecting any cruise business, possibly even this year. It may be next spring before that happens. They're really struggling apparently with, as much as a venue, the cruise ships, they can make them COVID safe, social distancing wise, etc., and have capacities and things. They're really struggling with, obviously every country has different rules on where they are with COVID, where they are with outbreaks and things. And so going to different ports and booking those ports is becoming a real issue for them. So for example, they might be halfway around the coast of, I don't know, Spain, on their way to Italy, and Italy might shut things down and they simply can't dock. Well, that's going to be a huge issue for them. So they're simply not going to be able to do these multi-itineraries until, the world is in a much better place. And so it's going to take a while.
That's great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your questions, and I'll hand back to Elaine.
Thank you, everybody. That's been really, really interesting. I think I said this yesterday, but even if you know a destination, you always learn something new on these calls. So we're really grateful to all of the partners for updating us on that. I just wanted to pick up on a couple of last things and share my screen. A couple of people are asking about the videos. On our website, there's a number of buttons across the website now where you can link to, which will take you to all of the recordings in a library. So you can revisit any of these at any time, as and when. We've also got our exhibitor profile section so all of the partners that are here today and others, there's 75 of them on here. If I was to go, you can click on them and take a look, for example, here, and then down here you can download brochures, make inquiries and request information, and also view some of the videos, so you can re-watch that lovely footage there of the Spitfire simulation. So you can download the brochures and you can make inquiries or request information. So when you click on these, you don't have to fill your details in lots of times for every exhibitor. You can fill in your details once, click on all of the partners that you're interested in, and then we will ensure that they get the information and can send it out to you in due course. So we hope that that's helpful. Our e-newsletters are going out each day after these sessions as well. So there's copies of the recordings in there, and you can share them on with your members. Absolutely. And if you're not subscribed to our Tourism South East newsletter, but you did opt in as part of these registrations, you're automatically being added into that because you've said you wanted to. So we're keeping you up to date that way. And just at the end of this call, if anybody wants to stay on and just have another chat with me, because we're on a roll now and all getting used to this, I would like to find out from anybody from Windsor, but also across all of the familiarisations that we've done this week, if there's anywhere that's stuck out in your mind. I'm just hoping to get some sort of little sound bites of places that you think, oh, I might well think about that in due course in the future. So after we've ended the call, just stay on if you're happy to continue talking to us for a few more minutes. But I'm just going to hand back over to Fran to close today. I'm sure you're all a bit bored of me. And thank you very much, everybody. Oh, and thank you so much to Julia and all of your partners. It's been lovely to hear everything, and I appreciate all the time it takes to put all of these presentations together as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. And just following on from that, on that note, of course, thank you to all our partners throughout this week. Yeah, as you say, the work that goes into bringing everybody together and to put that over to you is quite immense. So to Julia and her team, thank you very much. But I should also mention, and I know it's not the final fam trip yet, but your rather glamorous host for all of these, Elaine Colley, obviously has talked you through and held your hand through all of these, but actually it should be noted that the work that's gone behind this is underpinned very much by Elaine's work. The website you see, the downloads you do, all the work that she's strung together to make sure that these sync together. So not only is she talking and presenting, she's pushing buttons and linking everything up as you go. So yeah, all our thanks to Elaine for that. But I wanted just to close with a little look forward at Excursions 2022. And I know you all know of our exciting new venue and looking forward to that. So it is bittersweet. We have been at Alexandra Palace for a long time, and Karen will, of course, remember moving the show to that venue over 30 years ago, I think. So it is bittersweet. Alexandra Palace was the home of Excursions for quite a long time. We enjoyed a very good working relationship with the whole team there. And we grew nicely within the walls of Alexandra Palace. However, a change is as good as a rest, and we've had a rest, and it is time for a change. We do need to look to pastures new, and we are all really excited about our new venue at Twickenham. It's going to give a refresh. We've got lots of new things to explore, and obviously we are in the realms of Richmond and the Visit Richmond team, who are welcoming us and looking forward to showing us lots of new things to see there. So I look forward to seeing you all at Excursions 2022, to seeing you all face to face. And it just remains for me to say good luck with all your organising and planning. I remain positive and optimistic that we will be able to do so for this year. So please do take the time to go through everything and contact us if we can help and work with you.